Before this video starts, I want to give a quick shout out to DPSI, who has encouraged me in doing match analysis myself. I wouldn't have done this if not for his YouTube channel, so you guys should just definitely check him out at DPSI Duck. He's done Advanced Wars by Web replays longer than I have, and he's also much better at the game than me, so you should definitely give him a try if you've been watching these. The other person is Walker, who runs, as far as I can tell, Advanced Wars by Web, and does a really great job managing the site, making sure that all of the numerous errors are quickly fixed, and has always been on the ball whenever I've had an issue with the site. So really appreciate both of their work. Thanks a bunch, and I'll see you guys in the video. Hello, it's me, Fidiscus Jiskit, and I got another Advanced Wars by Web match replay analysis. Today, there's a new map in the competitive rotation. I don't know how many maps changed in the competitive rotation because I haven't clicked on the info tab yet. I'm not going to do that. But I got a game on Dubious Procession, and I'm sure that people are interested in looking at the new map, so I took this replay between traukolin, and NobodyG00d. It's the highest rated game that has been completed yet. Both these players are around 1100, I think, 1000 to 1100 range. I know NobodyG00d. I'm pretty sure I've played NobodyG00d before. They were definitely pretty good. So the name is a trap. It looks like traukolin's using Jake, and NobodyG00d is using Rachel. I don't have huge amounts of opinions about COs, although I do think that Rachel is really hard to play against because conventional strategies tend to fall prey to her super CO power. So that's the only idea that I have going into it. I don't obviously, like, I know that Jake does like weird plane stuff, but I don't know how much it'll matter. As far as the map itself, it's new, it's interesting. The HQs are really far forward in the center of the map. The only thing that really separates them is this single mountain and these roads, which I guess you don't really want to like park on. There's plenty of terrain around. The most popular CO on the map right now is Lash. I'm contributing to that, and so is my opponent in my game. I guess, yeah, there's not like an inner and outer. The diagonal, the east to west diagonal, or west to east diagonal rather, here is going to be hard to be aggressive. I guess this is the defensive side because these two mountains make it really difficult to pass. I wonder, there's not been a whole lot of games on this map. I wonder how bad mech spam is if you just like mech into here. I suppose they still don't really have good routes. This airport is really interesting because it's next to the pipe here. I wonder if you build an artillery and you park it on this city, you can shoot at this, open this up, and then you can move the artillery down here, and then you can shoot at your own HQ. It's kind of decent. These sides have a lot of shoals, so moving through these is kind of interesting. That's all my first impressions. It's a cool looking map. It looks good. So we'll go ahead and get started. NobodyG00d opting to... Yeah, this is the only cap that you can make on the first turn. First decision he has to make, I suppose, is whether he wants to get the airport early, which I can't imagine wanting to do, or going back towards this here. The next infantry should probably go north. Yeah, so traukolin sent his south, so that's opting not to go the early. I wonder if one of these players did the calculus and the other didn't. I am no calculus gang. Traukolin's actually going just aggressive all around since he moved neither of these to the back city like NobodyG00d did. NobodyG00d, I'm guessing that neither of these players did the calculus just because it's really hard, and I don't blame anybody for not doing it. I think that NobodyG00d assumes that the simple caps are not a trap, and traukolin is guessing that the simple caps are a trap, and those are really the only two ideas that you can have. Something interesting is traukolin's going straight for this comm tower, which always seems like a bad play to me. I'm not really sure how bad it could be, especially if he's going for all the other forward caps. Like, if he grabs this and NobodyG00d doesn't go for it right now, then he'll be able to contest the comm tower cap with a comm tower. So that's kind of interesting that that's an option available to you. Okay, so NobodyG00d is going to go straight for the comm tower. I wonder if they're doing that in response to this. I would probably do that in response. You don't want to try to fight for this comm tower if you don't have one, and your opponent does. But this doesn't feel good, for sure. This feels bad. And yeah, NobodyG00d did send their infantry to the simple cap second here, and this seems correct to me. Like, going for the airport doesn't seem all that good, but the issue is that you'll eventually want to send an infantry over here to get this airport, and then what do they do? Because they're gonna have to go like all the way around, spend a bunch of turns doing nothing. That feels bad. So still hasn't sent somebody to this cap here, which is really simple to get. This seems like really reasonable. If you only need one infantry, but then you can start capping all three of these. I don't think that I would send more than one to cap these four. But this is a pretty substantial difference, it feels like, between the two strategies. This is also interesting. So this artillery, I guess it sits on this city. Where does this artillery go? I'm really curious. And nobody could have had enough money for a tank if they wanted it. 2,000 in reserve. They could have built an infantry and a tank and had 1,000 in reserve instead. I suppose that the artillery could sit on like one of these forests and protect these two cities. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. But moving it into a place where it can be aggressive is going to be impossible. This is a strictly defensive formation. Traukolin is going for the airport. This airport looks really, really alone. Nothing but infantry for traukolin, not seeing the reason to build a tank. So strange, I don't know what's going on. I feel really uncomfortable. This is the infantry that's going to go for this airport. Traukolin avoided this fight and so did NobodyG00d, but that makes sense because obviously NobodyG00d wants that city. And yeah, this is being brought around to participate in something. I don't quite understand what, but I guess I'll see. And NobodyG00d, obviously big fan of these artillery strats, I suppose. Tank and mech. I suppose that being 2 spaces away, this mech doesn't actually, like, I was concerned about mech spam earlier, but being 2 spaces away from these, it ends up not mattering, I don't think. Because the infantry can just walk onto these from this base anyways, and then just walk wherever. If that was what people were going to do, then they could just do it with infantry. There's no sense in building mechs. But now I just wonder why this mech exists at all. It doesn't feel like that's a sensible purchase to me. Okay, so nobody good fires the first shot. Builds a tank and an infantry. There's a slight funds lead with that 1100. What is the... It's just controlling more of the backwards areas, and it's, none of the forward areas were cut off, really, for nobody good. Maybe the funds will manifest themselves later. Yeah, that's a lot that he started capping this turn. This seems to be under Traukolin's control. So another tank. Okay, so he did another tank mech combo, which is spending all of his funds. He's not saving any by doing that. And I'm really curious because it does not feel like this mech is providing a huge amount of advantage. Maybe it does now that nobody good has a tank, but it's not like you can. I have not been able to successfully use mechs against artillery. And I don't know if that's like a personal failing of mine. If you have an APC, it seems doable, but APCs are really hard to justify in most games. And on this map, it's 2 base, so it seems especially difficult to justify. Maybe in next turn, Traukolin will build an APC and I'll be proven wrong. I'm just learning. Okay, so this is good. I feel like I've learned something here. So this artillery is moving alongside these infantry to protect their caps. You can see that if this infantry or this tank comes around to fight these infantry, this is a really good spot for this artillery to be in. It's not going to be able to... The tank won't win out just stopping one of these infantry from making the cap. He might be able to kill the infantry by moving both of these to hit it, but I still don't feel like he's gonna walk out positively on that because you don't want this tank to die. I don't think he can actually kill the tank with the artillery. He's got the other tank here to back it up. This is a really good spot for it, at the very least. I don't know how worth it the artillery itself is because the tank also is kind of doing its job here. It's at least sealing the deal. The tank is. I don't know. It's a little strange. It's really good positioning though. I like the micro decision is super solid. I'm curious about the macro. Ooh, that's good. That's good stuff. This is a lot more sensible. I don't like it being parked on the shoal, but as long as this infantry is here, it can't be hit really. As long as the infantry are positioned are in the way that they are, then that's a little bit rough. But it hits both the HQ and this city, so it feels like nobody good can seize control of that city pretty quickly. Even though this upcoming turn, Traukolin will get it. It'll get upended from him pretty fast, and nobody good has enough infantry here to protect the artillery from this tank and the mech as well. So it seems pretty solid. The biggest difference between the two strategies is Traukolin was a little bit more aggressive at the beginning, taking out he got the opportunity to be more aggressive because he's got to be able to take the com tower first, and I think that forced the reaction from NobodyG00d. The two artillery was a big deal, and then producing these mechs. I can't imagine that traukolin is like really happy with this decision right now. It doesn't feel like those mechs are going to do him much any good. Because he does try to block this cap, but I think it ends up can't be worth it in the end. So, okay, this artillery fires here. This artillery is going to fire here, I think, because he can protect the artillery with this infantry onto the forest and this tank onto the road. Yeah, cool. I'm glad I spotted that. So the anti-air comes out, and it's going to move in a really predictable way. It's interesting that when you build, it's interesting that this pipe exists. I'll be curious to see if traukolin is trying to destroy it. He could have moved this mech to destroy it, which would have been a pretty smart thing. I wouldn't have considered that, and I guess he didn't either. But taking out this pipe is going to impact how effective these copters can be by a really significant amount. Those two spaces extend it like onto his HQ almost. 1, 2, it's 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Yeah, it extends it onto his HQ. That's crazy good, but you do have to take this out. And the anti-air that is most actually both anti-air, well, not here as much, but the anti-air base that feels most natural to like stop this is this one. Nobody could recognize it, but it is stopped by these two. Stopped by these two mountains. That's really rough that you have to move it all the way around these mountains. Like that's a real pain. So this one is further away naturally, but this one is unnaturally far away because of the two mountains. This is a really poor attack. I understand why traukolin feels like he's got to make it, but I don't know that he had to. Did he have to park? Or just take a move from? Why did he opt to attack from the road rather than the plains? I suppose he's just rushed. I've made this mistake before. I'm sure that I'll make this mistake again even after calling this out. But this is really bad that this tank is going to be able to sit right here and hit him. Actually, it could be even worse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, no, it's all right. I just think that it's possible he can move into this city and attack it. That would be disastrous. I still think this is disastrous, but it's at least not quote unquote that bad. Oh, I see. He's backing it up with the mech. That's kind of neat. It doesn't feel that neat. He knows he can't take this city now, so he could move this infantry back to the town and block the mech. It would be really difficult for him to do something about that, I feel. Oh shoot, that's not what I want. Let's see this first. Okay, that's 4 HP, so then that's easy enough. Where's the swap? There's the swap. And then you do this on the road. Oh no, it's 4 HP. Yeah, that wouldn't kill. So that seems like a really strong play. This is annoying. That's just annoying. That's all that is. This is a... Well, the artillery makes this a lot worse. And NobodyG00d immediately hits it with the artillery. How much damage did it do? Ooh, boy, 6. Oh, don't spoil it for me. 6. That finishes the cap. This is a similarly strange decision to the one where, like, I suppose it, yeah, so by moving onto the road, no. Because if he kills this, then this is even worse. I suppose, okay, so most charitable interpretation of this move is that NobodyG00d thought that if this did not kill, if this attack didn't kill, then it's protected from, well, no, it's not. Most charitable interpretation is still what I was saying. NobodyG00d thought that if this didn't kill, then the tank would not, would, that it would be protected from both infantry, that both infantry couldn't hit this infantry. But that's not true, because this tank could at least just move off the city. He can just retreat and go onto the HQ, or go on to, you know, like this plane back here or something, and then just leave. This tank will have to go somewhere, and then both of these infantry will be able to hit the infantry anyways. However, this could have been done from planes, and that seems better. It seems better. I don't understand why the road would be. I guess I don't know. Protecting the artillery a little bit, even though it totally doesn't, and it's still completely open to this. Still open to this B-copter. I suppose the artillery's already got its worth out of that tank attack and the infantry that it killed. That's interesting. Looks like NobodyG00d is like a really defensive player. Moving these in here is just really defensive. It's strong. He could have done that thing that I was saying where he moved this 5 in between here. I don't think that, maybe I'm wrong. Let me go back and look. Oh, he could have had, so he couldn't have moved here. He could have moved this infantry or this, no, only this infantry. So on a road and on a... Okay, so that would have killed it, and then he would have been able to get the counter attack with the mech. So that's reasonable. It's definitely reasonable. Okay, so I don't feel like that was a mistake to not try to attack this tank on the road here. Okay, so this turn is double artillery from traukolin. That's kind of interesting. I suppose he wants to save some amount of money so he can buy another B-copter. Does he have a tank lead right now? 3, 2, 3. No. Their force is really similar. The biggest difference being the extra infantry compared to the mechs. There's not a whole lot to say about that turn. It seems like most of these plays are obvious. This is a super defensive formation here. It's protected in part by this. Feels like he could still kind of ruin the. I actually don't know how much damage B-covers do to artillery. Oh, they do a lot, that's for sure. But not enough here. Not enough to warrant risking the destroying the B-copter. The B-copter would just die. B-copter would absolutely die to the anti-air. Always does. Okay, I want to watch this again because this is pretty interesting. So the mech doesn't do anything. That is incredible that this full HP infantry can kill this 7 HP infantry. I suppose it's because of the planes bonus. But that's like the planes bonus is I thought it was only 10%. Yeah, that's just, I mean, that's the exact same bonus that Lash gets. Lash could have made this play? That's crazy. It doesn't even suggest that it could die. Like, this is a hidden attack that he's able to discover because the decimal point percentage is just proper. This makes sense enough, and this follow-up attack with the tank is really, really good. The only thing that this artillery can hit now is like infantry. It's just not very useful. It'll do a good amount of damage, probably even at 3, but it's just not. This mech is in like a really scary place now. Okay, so NobodyG00d finishes the caps on these 2 cities. This artillery only gets moved 1, so yeah, this is sensing aggression over here. I would have made this attack too. It always feels so good to just hit a mech with an infantry. I would have done the same thing, so that's cool. This B-copter is moved. It's gonna fire on the tank, I'm guessing. Yeah. Okay. And now traukolin is like officially losing. It didn't feel like very good for traukolin for most of the game, but now this feels really, really bad. Being back here is super safe for NobodyG00d right now. The amount that this artillery will recover is boosted because of Rachel's day-to-day. I wonder if nobody good just forgot about this. Did it fire last turn? It had to have fired last turn. Yeah, we saw all this. Yeah, this thing fired on this infantry, I'm guessing. Yeah, but I suppose that nobody good knew that this would take this rocket hit. Probably. I'm guessing that this tank hit. These both made anti-airs last turn? It seems so... Seems like a lot to commit. It feels like this one anti-air is doing nobody good everything that it needs to do. Oh, like if nobody good built another anti-air right now, I think that it would be ridiculous. And seeing these two anti-airs on traukolin's side is making me think that he's ridiculous right now. So I don't know. Maybe I'm ridiculous because now it doesn't feel like it's enough, and traukolin doesn't either because he's got this out. So that felt. It still feels like he's on the back foot from the turn from earlier. It's a good build turn. The infantry tank, beecopter. Pretty good, willing to. Wow, jeez, willing to hit the mech with the tank. 6 HP, even though it's in a city, it still kills. It's mad good. And even though traukolin can move his AA forward this turn and kill the troop on the plains, it's not worth it because the tank will just answer back onto the city. It's just, it can't put up with it. Nobody good hasn't moved past like this row. I don't think that nobody good has ever stepped one unit past like this city. But just standing here and holding a defensive line with the artillery that he made really early on and keeping them alive using Rachel's day-to-day seems really, really effective. This turn, all he built was 2 infantry and the battlecopter. But he's spending a lot of money keeping the troops alive as well. So there's something to think about that it's... I mean, he could have built more if he wanted to. Couldn't have built a lot more. He couldn't have built a tank and the battlecopter, for instance. I think even building the battlecopter is kind of ballsy since there's 2 AA on the field. I'm not sure that I could have done that. But having both, having the ability to just sit here and play defensively from all the artillery that he's built seems really strong. Block rock. That's the super. So that's like bonus movement and or it's bonus range. The artillery. That's really sad. I don't even know all the things that Jake's things do. Look at me. Landed or vehicles gain 2 movement. Okay, so that's a big deal at least. The plane's bonus is increased to 40%. I don't know how big of a deal that is. So did he use the extra movement? Yes, but not in... Oh, maybe not in the way that seems all that good. He moved this tank here, which is way further than it could have gone otherwise. He moved this anti-air gun onto a shoal instead of a road. So if the tank wants to kill this, if the tank wants to deal damage to it, it's going to have to put itself in harm's way of the tank on a road instead of being able to hit it from a plane. Oh, I suppose, I don't know. Is this a vehicle? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. This is a vehicle. Where does he move it? He's hitting it. I suppose it's because it's on the plane, so it's got like a bazillion bonus damage. It still doesn't feel like the best use of it. But it doesn't have another anti-air, so that's something. First move is... First move is the artillery onto the HQ. Check that, move the 4 HP tank back, try to get it to 7. Covering fire. Who takes this damage? It's 3 missiles, right? Oh yeah, it's the... What's going on? Oh my god. Please replay viewer. Yes, I know. Yeah, I know this turn. Okay, correct. Correct. Okay, so here's the covering fire. So I'm pretty sure that they... Does this have 4 HP? Oh my god. Yes, so they had 4 HP already. So I'm pretty sure that all the missiles hit like this thing. They each do 3 damage? It's impossible to tell. It's literally impossible. There's no way that I can tell. I know that these things took a shit ton of damage. That's the main effect. Traukolin's units are actually pretty well spread out in terms of their risk of taking damage. Like, this is really the only kind of clump of units that he has, is these, I guess, 4 or so. And I know that one missile could not hit all of these units at once, so that's pretty good. But it doesn't seem to have stopped the missiles from dealing like a significant amount of damage. It feels really bad. NobodyG00d drives. It's like a similar issue to what I thought, that like it doesn't. Leaving vehicles on roads is bad. Yeah, it just seems impossible, and I think that I've been spoiled enough that traukolin does just resign here. No, I don't blame him. It does not seem like a game that he could pick up the pieces for. Look at that, 7 units. Wonder if I can turn off those alerts while I'm streaming. That'd be good. Anyways. 63,000 unit dose. That's like basically half his value. NobodyG00d just does a really good job of keeping units alive, using Rachel's day-to-day, keeping them pretty useful. Played really defensive. This was the first turn where anything moved past this halfway point on the map, basically. It's just 2 units, but it was devastating, this defensive play. It gives me some insight on how I'm going to approach my match on this map. Makes me feel a little bit more confident looking at the way that NobodyG00d plays. I think that I can replicate that. I'm not sure that I didn't pick racial, obviously, so I'm not going to be able to do the exact same stuff, but yeah. So it's a cool new map. It's really cool that the rotation's changed. I'll look to see if there are any other new maps, and if there are, I'll be doing replay analysis for this as well. Hope everybody can help me out and see if I've missed anything that is really grave. See if I'm making sure that all my analysis is on point. I appreciate everybody that's watched the videos I've done so far, and thank you. Make sure to do all the algorithm friendly things that people like to do. Good luck!